Kiddos, I miss you guys so much. I hope you're having, excuse me, a wonderful and relaxing winter break. I can't wait to see you again in January. But because I missed you so much, I thought it would be kind of fun if we still read some books together over winter break. I miss reading with you every morning. So I brought a couple books home, and I thought I could post some videos. You guys could tell me what you thought, and we could still stay connected with our reading. So today I'm going to read you one of my favorite books called The Mitten. This is an older kids book, and I think I read it when I was younger. A lot of classrooms read it. There's a lot of activities online for it, so maybe I'll find one of those to post for you also in case you'd like to do one. All right, it's called The Mitten, and it says adapted. That means the story's been retold and kind of changed a little bit, and illustrated, so she also drew the pictures, by Jan Brett. If you notice on the cover, there's a picture of lots of animals, a lot of the cold weather animals we've been talking about, and there's a mitten in the middle. Do you know what a mitten is? A mitten is like a glove, but usually instead of having all the little spaces for all 5 of your fingers, there's just a space for your thumb and then a big space for the rest of your fingers. It keeps your hands warm when it's cold outside. The Mitten, a Ukrainian folktale. Once there was a boy named Nicky who wanted his new mittens made from wool as white as snow. Part of the reason I love this book are the beautiful illustrations. So if you can see, this is Nicky out in the snow, but the picture is framed by these really pretty little pictures on the side. It shows a woman with some yarn and then more balls of yarn over here. The shape around it is the shape of a mitten. At first, his grandmother, Baba, did not want to knit white mittens. If you drop one in the snow, she warned, you'll never find it. But Nicky wanted snow-white mittens, and finally, Baba made them. So he calls his grandma Baba. Do you have grandparents? What do you call them? I call my grandparents Jeepy and Jima. But my parents are also grandparents because my brother has a baby and their grandparent names are Gigi and Pops. So part of our family's culture and traditions are what we call people in our family. You can still see that mitten shape. After she finished, she said, when you come home, first I will look to see if you are safe and sound, but then I will look to see if you still have your snow-white mittens. So off Nicky went, and it wasn't long until one of his new mittens dropped in the snow and was left behind. Oh no. So there's their house. Does it look like your house? What is the same about it? What is different about it than your house? There's their yard. He's climbing a tree. Do any of you like to climb trees? And there's his mitten. What do you see in the glove here? An animal, right? I think these little cutouts, these little mitten, not a glove, a mitten, these little mitten pictures can help us predict what's going to happen next in the story. Can you make a prediction? Pause the video and think, what is going to happen next? I think that's a good prediction. We'll see. A mole, tired from tunneling along, discovered the mitten and burrowed inside. It was cozy and warm and just the right size, so he decided to stay. A mole is like a little rodent. I believe it's a rodent, and it burrows underground oftentimes. So you might have heard a grown-up talk about a mole under the grass in the backyard. There's the mole. It's a little animal. It's finding that mitten. Let's look at these little sidebars. They can give us helpful hints. I see a bunny. What do you see in this one? Another bunny or another rabbit. Remember the other day we read a book, and the book called The Bunny a Hare. It's another name. A snowshoe rabbit came hopping by. He stopped for a moment to admire his winter coat. It was then that he saw the mitten, and he wiggled in feet first. The mole didn't think there was room for both of them, but when he saw the rabbit's big kickers, he moved over. So he got a little nervous and he made room. Now there's two animals in the mitten, a mole and a rabbit. There's Nicky on this side, but let's go to this side. What animal is that? Let's read to find out. Next, a hedgehog came snuffling along. I love that verb, snuffling. Having spent the day looking under wet leaves for things to eat, the hedgehog decided to move into the mitten and warm himself. The mole and the rabbit were bumped and jostled, but not being ones to argue with someone covered in prickles, they made room. So now, there were two. We got one more. There are three animals in the mitten. There's Nicky, probably still looking. And here's our helpful hint. What's coming next? Looks like an echo. As soon as the hedgehog disappeared into the mitten, a big owl, attracted by all the commotion, swooped down. When he decided to move in also, the mole, the rabbit, and the hedgehog all grumbled. But when they saw the owl's glinty talons, they quickly let him in. What are talons? Yeah, they're like little claws. A lot of birds. Kind of like the chickens we've been looking at have talons, or things like them. So there's Nicky, still moving around in the snow with his one mitten at his waist. Here's our next hint. What animal is that? Up through the snow appeared a badger. He eyed the mitten and began to climb in. The mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the owl were not pleased. There was no room left, but when they saw his diggers, they gave him the thumb. It started snowing, but the animals were snug in the mitten. A waft of warm steam rose in the air, and a fox trotting by stopped to investigate. Just the sight of the cozy mitten made him feel drowsy. What does drowsy mean? Yeah, it means tired. The fox poked his muzzle in. When the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, the owl, and the badger saw his shiny teeth, they gave the fox lots of room. I didn't think that fox would fit, but it looks like he's going to make it fit. What's happening to the mitten? Notice those picture clues. Yeah, it's getting stretched out. There's Nicky, still in the snow. What's underneath him? And is it our other side? Or is on our other side a bear? Right, let's see what happens next. A great bear lumbered by. He spied the mitten all plumped up. Not being one to be left out in the cold, he began to nose his way in. The animals were packed in as tightly as could be, but what animal would argue with a bear? There's that bear sticking his nose in the mitten. I love that verb, he nosed his way in. It reminds me of DJ. When DJ wants to get in somewhere, he sticks his nose in. There's Nicky still. Here's our next prediction. Or our hint. What prediction can you make? What animal was that? And what's going to happen next? Let's find out. Along came a meadow mouse, no bigger than an acorn. So have you seen an acorn before outside? Like a little seed thing that falls from a tree. It's like this big, so tiny little mouse. She wriggled into the one space left, and she made herself comfortable on top of the great bear's nose. Well, there we go. There's the mouse on top of that bear's nose. Can you name all the animals that are in the mitten now? There's the bear, the fox, the hedgehog, the badger, the rabbit, the owl, and the mouse. And there's Nicky, maybe realizing for the first time that he lost his mitten. I thought he was looking before, but I think in this photo, he might have just realized. The bear, tickled by the mouse's whiskers, gave an enormous sneeze. Shoo! The force of the sneeze shot the mitten up into the sky, and it scattered the animals in all directions. Look at those animals flying everywhere. There's Nicky. On his way home, Nicky saw a white shape in the distance. It was the lost mitten silhouetted against the blue sky. So he found it. There's a little sigh, all those animals tumbling about. As he ran to catch his snow-white mitten, he saw Baba's face in the window. Remember, that was his grandma who knit the mitten. First, she looked to see if he was safe and sound, and then she saw that he still had his new mittens. Lucky he found it. There's all the animals. And here's the last illustration. What do you think she's noticing in this illustration? Her face looks confused or concerned. What do you notice about those two mittens? Right, this one is all big and stretched out, like if you stretch out your sweatshirt or something. So she must be wondering what happened. All right, kiddos, thank you for reading with me. Hopefully I'll post some more of these later this week and next week. And I hope that you are relaxing and having fun and spending some time with the people who love you. And I love you very much, and I can't wait to see you again soon.